Excited to be here. It's coming fast, but that's the way we want it. Guys have been practicing very hard. And looking forward to seeing what we can do when we hit the floor. The main thing is trying to put our team together. We're still in the process of becoming with our personnel. When you have 9, new, players that are transfers, 11 new players total. The biggest thing for us is understanding the importance of our chemistry and our continuity, and that's what we're working on every day. And I know that's a process, but our guys have been willing. They've been working very hard at it, and I think we've been getting better daily because of their willingness to want to get better and compete.
Coach, just what's the general outlook as you work with these guys over the last month or two? I know a lot of pundits believe UCF is a dark horse team to make the NCAA tournament this year. I know it's a very talented transfer class coming in. So what's the expectation you have for this team?
We always have the highest of expectations. You've heard me say this with all of our teams. We're always going to have a championship type of mindset, period. That's what I come from. That's what I believe in teaching our young men. I never want to go into any season with low standards. Our standards are always the highest, and we have those same standards for this team right here.
Coach, talk a little bit about Mustafa. What would you like him to be playing? What weight would you like him to be playing?
Well, Mustafa's done a really good job this offseason. I'm sure you guys probably have heard he's put on some weight, and he looks terrific. The main thing is not the amount of weight he's putting on, it's the amount of strength that he's gaining. As you know, you need to be functionally strong in the Big 12. So the weight helps, but your strength is very, very important. And he's adjusting to his weight. When you put 20 pounds of weight or muscle on you, you have to learn to carry that weight. And there's a process to learning how to carry that type of weight for any young player. But I think he's adjusted very well. I think with the added weight, he's able to hold his position in the low post. I think defensively it's made him a more physical player down there because he's carrying, like I said, some more pounds. So it's been very positive, I think, all in all. But there's still an adjustment period for him, and he's going through that now.
Spain with Sports First Media. Quick question. You did mention the 9 additional players that you have. What strength do you see that they bring into the team? Have you noticed anything yet that these 9 additional players have run through the team?
Definitely. Young, talented players. They all are work in progress, but the thing that they brought in is they've all had success where they were. They all were very successful on their level, and so now it's adjusting to the level that we're at now. And so that's the one thing they bring. I think they all bring versatility. Like, they're very versatile. Like, a number of these players can play multiple positions for us. And that's how we like to play. If you've ever watched us, as you know, our players' ability to kind of move around all over the floor is a style of play that we've, implemented since we've been here. So I think everyone that we recruited fit that bill of a player that's versatile. I can put him in different positions, and he's still confident that he can be successful.
Coach, going back to Mustafa real quick, throughout the years, you've been kind of relying on transfer experienced guys coming in. Now you have a younger player. What advantages do you enjoy having a younger player that you're building rather than an experienced step that's set in his ways? And what disadvantages are you having to bring him along versus having the later?
Well, we just had Taylor Hendricks just leave a couple years ago. So we just had a young man that was the 9th pick in the draft who was in that position. So for us, it's more or less a situation where we're going to bring him along from the experiences I've had. We're not going to hold him back. We're going to push him, probably beyond the limits that he thinks he can be pushed. But most young, student athletes don't know how far they can be pushed or how hard they can be pushed. It's up for us to understand that with our experiences and try to apply that with them. And the thing I love about Mustafa is he's been so coachable. One of the things he said, he wants to be coached, he wants to be pushed, he wants to be challenged. And that's the type of young man that's going to be very successful because he understands you need that external force sometimes to help you reach your full potential. I remember, for me, when I was playing for my coach, Coach Krzyzewski, and, he said, Johnny, no one can push you as hard as somebody else can push you. And back then, you really didn't understand. I'm an 18, 19-year-old. I didn't fully understand it. But as I matured into this profession, I understood it clearly. And that's what I try to, give to my players. I think I'm selling them short if I don't push them and try to get them to maximize their full potential, even beyond where they think they can go or what they can do.
You look at a guy like Darius, guy comes back for this season. What do you want to see from him, and how rare is it to have a guy who's been in this program for so long who can help maybe some of the newer faces kind of help the
Well, it's hugely important to have a young player like Darius return. Young, I can't say that anymore, and and being in one place 4 years, that's hard to say now too. So having him back is a luxury. He understands what we want in our system. He understands our standards and our culture. And so you need players like that. You know, I consider them like culture keepers. He's a keeper of our culture because he can spread the message that we want to spread, but from a player's perspective. So it's great, you know, having him back. He's been terrific. He's leading. He's one of our leaders, of course. He's only one of our 2 returning starters. So he plays an important role for us and our overall growth as a program as we move forward this season.
Coach, one of the trends this offseason was bringing in a bunch of players who have made some regrettable decisions in the past. But when you were asked about it, they said last chance you. You said second chance you. What does that mean to you as a head coach to give these players another chance?
Well, I'm a big believer in second chances. I mean, I think we all would be, you know, in a difficult world or situation if we didn't understand the importance of giving each other second chances. And so, you know, I've really believed that throughout my whole coaching career. You're seeing it now with some of the players we have here, but nothing's changed in our overall mission statement. We're going to try to help young people, you know, when we have an opportunity to help them. You know, as I mentioned, you know, I think before in an interview, you know, the thing I'm very, very proud of is, you know, I have our universities backing in making these decisions. You know, they're trusting in what we're doing. I couldn't make these decisions if someone, you know, at our university and the people above me didn't say, hey, you know what, have you done your work? Have you done your due diligence? Do you think it's a good fit? You know, have you checked, you know, everything out? And once I'm able to check those boxes, you know, just to have that belief from them, it means the world to me because that means they trust my decision-making process and what we're doing as a program. So I couldn't be more, you know, excited about the university I work for because I know that not everyone would give these young people a second chance, and I'm just very proud that UCF has done that.
Coach, I was reading in the notes, there are 40 D1 programs that have 11 or more known players. Is that kind of the new age of college basketball? And what are those floors like out in the field trying to get transferred to come in?
Well, absolutely. I know we're one of 40. You know, I would have thought, you know, with 11 newcomers, you'd probably be, you know, number one. So it has changed. The landscape has changed in our game, and we have to adapt. You know, you've heard me say, I think, last year and maybe before, you know, we have to lean into this new world that we're in. That's the only way you're going to be successful. It's where we are now. It's not going anywhere. And so you have to be ready to coach players, almost like when I was a professional. When I was an NBA player, you know, all of a sudden your roster's turning over, especially if you're not on a winning team, your roster's turning over quite a bit. And so I think as a coach, you have to be able to, you know, get these players together as fast as you can. You have to really, really work on team building. I mean, team building has to be paramount because you have to get everybody on the same page as quickly as possible. And understanding your system has to be one in which, when you implement it, it doesn't take these young men a long time to you know, grasp because you don't have that type of time anymore. Once the year starts, it's on. So that's been kind of our approach. I've leaned on my NBA experience, to be quite frank, and professional experience, because that's kind of the model that I see, you know, us being in now with, you know, the ability to transfer at will, with the ability, you know, players are moving a lot faster and going to different schools quicker. So, you know, we just have to adapt to the times, and I think the NBA experience that I've gotten, I think has been helpful in what we're trying to do.
Mikey Williams is a player, since he was in middle school, Mikey Williams is a player who's generated considerable buzz. I think getting ready for his first season of college basketball. What have you seen from Mikey, and what do you see his role being on this team?
You know, Mikey's been terrific. I mean, he's come in, he's worked very hard, he's really competitive. I mean, you have to remember, you know, we started workouts in June. You know, Mikey's been here for all of 7 weeks. I think he came at the end of August. So he hadn't been here very long. So he's adjusting. But the one thing I will say, he has a willingness to learn. He wants to be great. And, you know, I'll share what I shared with him. I mean, he has to understand the importance of running his own race. I mean, there's so many expectations on a young person who's had that type of talent and was so heralded, you know, like you said, in middle school and high school, that sometimes you can put the pressure of the world on yourself to try to come out and be something, you know, right away. And if that happens, we won't hold you back. I don't do that. But you should just run your race. If that happens, great. If it takes a little while longer, that's great too, because you're not a senior, you know, you're a freshman. So that was my biggest message to him. We sat down literally a few days ago and we had that talk, and I was just wanting to express upon him the importance of don't put the weight of the world of pressure on yourself to be somebody that you're not, What you want to do is be the best version of Mikey you can be, whether that's right away or whether that takes time. You're still going to be successful by just running your own race.
Coach, you showed your aggressiveness this offseason, bringing in the 9 new transfers. How do you believe your offseason moves help characterize UCF as an ascending program in a tough conference that is the Big 12?
Well, I thought it was important that we had to up our talent level, and that's something that I saw coaching in the Big 12 last year, that we had to level up. And I thought we were able to level up in what we were doing this offseason. I thought my staff, they did a terrific job of identifying, student athletes that we thought would fit our system and we thought could really help impact what we want to do and move our needle as far as being more competitive in this conference. As you know, it's every single night in the Big 12 is unlike anything in college basketball. So, I thought, upping our level of personnel would give us a better chance to compete and give us a better chance to win. And I think that's what we were able to go out and do this offseason.
How does that impact your recruiting process with this possible, not just with you as a head coach, but also with Coach Waterman as a recruiting coach?
Excuse me, I didn't.
Like that aggressiveness in the portal, how does that impact the way that you recruit given this new age of college, not just you as a head coach, but also with Coach Waterman as a recruiting coach?
Well, very important that we understand the value of the portal. So many young student athletes and talented student athletes are entering. You just have to identify the ones that fit your program, fit your styles, your system. For me, I'm a big believer. It's like cooking a great meal. The ingredients have to fit the same way with our team. Our pieces have to fit. And so we didn't just go out and grab guys that we thought had talent. We tried to find guys that really fit what we do, in our system, with our style of play, whether it's defensively, whether it's offensively. And I thought, Coach Tyson Waterman, Coach Mamadou, Coach Adam Hood, I think all of those guys did a terrific job of really identifying the players that we thought could really help us as we moved forward.
Coach, earlier you mentioned 2 returning starters. How much do you lean on Jalen Sellers to lead your newcomers?
Oh, no, absolutely. Jalen Sellers is another young player who he's only been with me 1 year, but he's one of our leaders. I mean, you're talking about a player that was terrific for us last year. I don't think I have very many players I've coached. Jalen being one, Darius another, who, I think are great in the locker room. They understand what I want in my program, on and off the court, and they police that environment that I want. And that's what you have to have. Jalen, if you want to use a good word, he's like an owner. Like he has ownership in our program. And for 1 year, that's amazing. Usually, like Darius, I understand. He's been with us long enough. But for a guy like Jalen to come in and really get it right away about our culture and our standards and really embrace, just making sure the other players understood that, I think the world of him, because I know there are not many players that have been with you for 1 year that would pick that up as fast. So really happy to have him as a returning player for us. I don't think we could have a better returning player in a leadership position because of his willingness to, think like an owner and not just like he's here, trying to play for us.
Hey, Coach, and having so many guards on this roster, what has those conversations behind the scenes been like on expectations for minutes and having the ball in?
Well, it's about competing. Very, very simple. This basketball is a game of competition. Do we not think Kansas has a lot of talent or Houston has a lot of talent, or should I go on and on and on in the Big 12? Matter of fact, every team, Arizona, keep going. They all have a lot of talent. So we're no different than those teams. We have to compete, and, guys have to earn what they get. And that's how it should be. This life is about competing. And so basketball is no different. You have to go out there and you have to earn it. And these kids all came here understanding who we have here. It's not like it was any secrets who we have in our program. So, everyone recognized it. Everyone wanted to come in for an opportunity to compete. And that's what everyone will have. And that's exciting. I was in that position in their shoes, of course, as a player a long time ago, different places I played. And I think it brings out the best of everyone. I think, we have a saying like Proverbs, iron sharpens iron, just like one man sharpens another. And so we go with that, all the time. We say it probably once or twice a week, the importance of competing and helping each other become better.
Coach, you mentioned leveling up the talent on this team, but one of the main things you struggled with last year was players being able to create their own shots. You're bringing a guy like Mikey who's able to create his own shot, and then Dior Johnson averaged 45 points in the JUCO playoffs. Talk about his acquisition.
Well, as you mentioned, we bring in guys that are capable of going off the bounce to make plays for themselves and others, which is very, very important. As you mentioned, we wanted to make sure that we could, suck defenses in or make plays at the basket. And those players are capable of making plays like that. Dior, you just mentioned, is another player who came in for us. He's a versatile player, can play multiple positions on the perimeter. He can run the show. He can play off the ball. He provides us with more depth, again, on the perimeter, guys that can help us, as we look at what we're trying to build as we go forward. And we're going to learn more about these players, of course, when we start, having our exhibition games. Right now, we've just been practicing against ourselves. So I think, a big lesson for us will be, okay, what do we learn when we play Florida Gulf Coast? What do we learn when we play Georgia, in the preseason? So these are games, I think, that really kind of give us, an idea of what we have to do to get better, an idea of where each one of these players are and running their individual races.
I want to ask you about a pair of players that had major roles in the previous schools, Jordan Ivy-Curry, Keyshawn Hall. How have they fit into what you want to do? What have you seen from them?
Well, both of those players, what they bring is they bring experience. They've had success at their levels, and they've got a lot of experience. So, with that, there's a lot of confidence that comes with that. They kind of know who they are. They're not incoming freshmen. They're players who have actually been on the floor in big moments and key games and had to make plays. So having that, I think, in addition to already having, a backcourt like, Darius and Jalen, I think gives us the ability to be able, again, to be versatile, to be able to go in a number of different directions coming down the stretch of games, what those players have accomplished. So, no, they've been terrific. Those guys have been great. Both of them have done a great job of coming in, providing leadership as well. They all want to compete. And just excited to see what they can do as we start the season off.
Speaking of Keyshawn, he had a long list of suitors he chose to be developed here. What does that say about the state of your program?
I'm just very, very, happy that he made that decision. We don't want to let him down. That's a big part of what we do in our program. I think one of the things that we do very well that sometimes gets lost is our development of our talent. I think our players do get better when they come here, whether that's bigger, stronger, better on the court. And I think he saw that, and I think that really attracted him when a lot of the other students, as you mentioned, were trying to get him. He recognized that not only compete at a high level here in the Big 12, but he also knew that he would get developed properly for what he wants to do for his overall career. And so just excited that he chose us, and I think he's been an immediate help as he's been added into our roster.
Coach, the schedule, the ranked opponent right out of the gate, is an early opportunity to make some noise.
Well, ranked opponent right out of the gate, as you just mentioned. Texas A&M is talented. They had a terrific season last year. They're returning, I believe, eight of their players, so that's rare. So they'll have their nucleus back, so their system is already one that those players know, so they're only working on refining it and getting better. The thing that really was amazing, too, is they're the #1 rebounding team in the nation last year. Unbelievable on the board. So a really good test for us right away, an opportunity for us to kind of see where we are, what we have to do to get better, what we have to do to compete at our level. And, very excited because our players, like you said, we're 11 new players, 9 new, transfers. It's important for us to see right away, what we're going to be up against so that we can figure out where we are, and then we can grow as a team from there.
How did those newcomers adjust to your emphasis on playing defense?
Have you spoken to them? Well, they're in the process of learning how to do that. They're in the process of learning, what we emphasize here, what we think is #1 is on the defensive side of the ball. A number of these players have come in and they have healthy averages offensively, and what we want to do is have them understand you're not going to win anything of consequence if you don't guard, though. You look at the teams that, in the Big 12 tournament or the NCAA tournament, those teams typically are teams that are very, very good defensively, and they're terrific, and they can score, of course, but they make it very, very difficult for you to score. And so we have got to embrace that, and our guys have been embracing it, just so you know. It's a learning curve there because it's a new system. We have different things that we do that maybe they didn't work on where they were. They had a different system. I'm not saying their system was ours is any better than theirs. It's just different. And so they're learning our language, what you have to say defensively, where you have to be defensively. There's a lot of attention to detail that goes into that, and these players are still picking that up. That's not something that you learn in 2 months, because your habits are your habits. If you've been somewhere 3 years, 4 years, you got 3, 4 years of habits. So God forbid, now guys are transferring a lot. So you may have been in only one place, maybe just some of your fourth coach maybe. So you have 3 other systems that you've already played for. So all of those things factor in the ability for someone to pick it up, faster. And so we're in the process of still working on it, but I do like where we're trending. I see our guys in the right positions more and more as we start to get closer to the season, and those things excite me.
How difficult is that when a guy has been at multiple places and now you're teaching him your way of doing things? He's got to shed things that he's learned at previous stops.
Once again, for me, I rely on my NBA experience. I was in the NBA almost a decade, and I want to say I probably had 5 or 6 coaches. So I know how difficult it is to every year change coaches and change systems, because everyone had a different coach has a different system. So a different language of how you got to communicate on the court, whether it's offensively or defensively. So you're constantly having to feed yourself that new information. And, I would just go back to my days of college and the amount of time it took me to get our system down. So I always use myself as a reference to when I'm working with our young people to try to help move them along. So I usually have an idea about kind of where they are with what they're learning, and I try to bring them along accordingly.
Coach, I was going to ask you if defense was a requirement for fit for one of your transfers, but I think Trey's answered that question. Let me go this way then. We mentioned the Big 12 as a battleground for recruiting. What is it that you have where you make UCF kind of stand out, especially in a situation where some of the more incumbent programs have maybe more resources than UCF does?
Well, I think we have just so many wonderful things to offer here. One, look where we are. We're in Orlando, one of the best cities in the world, to be quite frank. So our location is an unbelievable selling point for young people. We're talking about winning the best basketball conference in the country. So who you're competing against on a nightly basis, are you kidding me? You can't get any better competition. So that's a selling point for us. I think our staff's experience. We have an experienced staff, guys who've been very successful at working with young people, helping them develop and maximizing what they can do in their individual careers, not just what they can do for us. And they realize that about me as a coach, that, what I want to do is I want to win championships. I want to do some special things here in Orlando and for UCF. Absolutely. I love the program. I always have. But I also understand that I have responsibility to help these young people maximize their overall future. And that has to be true. That can't come across where some people can say that, but it may not ring true. For me, when they're looking at me in the eyes and we're having these discussions with them and their parents, they know that I want to see their student athlete, maximize their overall career, not just, me use him to get wins. And I'm not in it for that. When that happens for me, then it's probably time for me to do something else. I'm here to serve these young people on and off the court. I think you can tell by some of the decisions that we've made that we're into more serving and giving kids opportunities. And like I said, what a bad world we'd live in if we weren't, looking to do that with younger people.
Time for one or two more questions.
Nils is coming back for a second year in the program. Where is his development, and what are your expectations for Nils this year?
I'm really excited about Nils. Nils has had a terrific preseason, and it's always exciting to see. He spent most of his time this summer, back at home in Germany playing with his national team. He had a good experience there. He came back. You could tell, that he had been playing a lot of competitive basketball. So looking forward to seeing what he can do when we start the season off. But Nils has played well for us. He's been, always a joy to coach, and so I'm looking forward to starting the season off with him.
Coach, you know something about dunking the basketball. When you look at a lot of these players, they love to dunk. Would you say that this is one of the more athletic teams that the program has seen?
I think it's a very good athletic team. We've had some, athletic teams, in years past as well. The thing I want these guys to understand when they're going in for these dunks and plays like that they only count as 2 points. And so whether you score it by laying it up or dunking it, just understand we want the 2 points. So if you miss it, you may come see me. I don't need any other assistant coaches either. So, no, really just some of these players can really attack the rim and make plays at the basket, which is good. And they're learning what they can do. Like I said, all of them are adjusting to playing at, a Big 12 level. And so there's an adjustment for these guys, and I think they're going to see that as we start to play these exhibition games as well as, right away when we start preseason games. And that's going to be great. That's how we're going to grow and learn. And they'll see what they are able to accomplish on the court and what plays they can make. But the main thing I want them to do is just make the right play, be efficient.
Who are the long-range shooters on this team?
Long-range shooters on this team. Darius last year, shot 40% from 3. Jordan Ivy-Curry, he's shot a good percentage from behind the arc as well. Jalen, of course, he didn't have the year he's had for his career shooting, but I'm not sure if really everybody realized, but he broke his shooting hand, over in Italy last year when we were there. He broke it during those games, so that's a difficult transition. He never really was able to get back. So the offseason was really, really good for him and getting himself back. So he's been a terrific three-point shooter as well. At the big spot, of course, Rokas is capable of knocking down shots from behind the arc. So we have a number of guys that are capable of making shots, on the perimeter.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.